I could freestyle about it, preach about it, or go off top of the head. But today I bought my notes so I could resurrect the dead. Yeah! Greetings and blessings to my navigators of the seven seas. I am your locksmith, your symbologist, and metaphysical tour guide, Flat Archie 5000. And I'm back with another one as we navigate through the land of Pineal. Today, we're going to unlock your Solomon's Temple to decode the symbolism and history of the vulture. So as always, strap on your helmet and buckle up your spacesuit because we're on a mental voyage and we're about to take off before the walls of Jericho come crumbling down. In the tradition of entering Solomon's Temple, we must use a meditative master key to help us stay on the path of enlightenment. It is these divine words that have a literal, allegorical, and metaphysical message attached to them when understood in its proper context. So today we give honors and respect to an African proverb that says, "When vultures surround you, try not to die." Let me repeat it one more time for those of you who may be preyed upon by the illusions of your own thoughts. There's an African proverb that specifically states, "When vultures surround you, try not to die." Woo-wee! Go on and meditate on that. And click your heels 3 times while I ring this bell of enlightenment for that powerful meditative key of wisdom as you enter the corridors of your Solomon's Temple. Let's get to it, shall we? No time to waste. Take note, masterminds. The vulture is a majestic bird of prey known for its unscrupulous scavenging habits, which has played a significant role in the beliefs, myths, and symbolism of various ancient cultures around the world. From ancient Africa to Mesopotamia, Greece, and the Americas, the vulture has been revered, feared, and mythologized for its unique characteristics and behaviors. One important esoteric theme that is associated with the vulture is the vulture's scavenging and predatory nature, which is seen as a metaphor for the cleansing and purifying of one's body and spirit. One must understand that this characteristic alone embodies many of the sacred teachings that is divinely inspired by this bird's entire existence. The principle of destroying and rebuilding or devouring to replenish. Thus, in many African mythologies, the vulture is seen as a bridge between the world of the living and the world of the dead. It is believed that the vulture's keen eyesight and scavenging nature allows it to roam freely between these two realms, carrying messages and energies between the two worlds. Let's ring the bell for that. In this context, the vulture is often associated with ancestors and the afterlife and is believed to have the power to communicate with the spirits of the dead. In Yoruba mythology, the vulture, also referred to as Ayemi, is a revered and complex symbol with a rich history and multifaceted symbolism. The vulture's significance can be traced back to the pre-colonial era, where the Yoruba people inhabited the region of modern-day southwestern Nigeria. In Yoruba mythology, the vulture is often depicted as a messenger of the gods, tasked with carrying messages and prayers between the mortal world and the spiritual realm. This role is rooted in the vulture's unique characteristics, such as its ability to soar high in the skies, surveying the earth below, and its keen eyesight, which allows it to see beyond the physical realm. The vulture's connection to death and the afterlife is another significant aspect of its symbolism. In Yoruba culture, death is not seen as the end, but rather as a transition to the next stage of existence. The vulture's scavenging nature, where it feeds on dead carcasses and decaying matter, serves as a metaphor for the cycle of life and death. The vulture's ability to clean up dead matter and restore balance to the natural world also reflects his role in purification and cleansing. The vulture's association with death is further emphasized in Yoruba funerary practices. In traditional Yoruba burials, offerings are made to Ayemi, as it is believed that the vulture would carry the deceased person's spirit to the afterlife. This connection between life and death highlights the importance of honoring one's ancestors and acknowledging the inevitability of mortality. Let's ring the bell for that. Thus, the vulture's symbolism also extends to his role as a spiritual guide. In Yoruba mythology, Ayemi is said to possess wisdom and intelligence, guiding individuals through life's challenges and offering counsel. Its keen eyesight and sharp wit are believed to offer guidance and wisdom to those who seek it. Consequently, the most famous Orisha that is associated with the vulture in Yoruba mythology is Oshun, whom is the goddess of love, beauty, and fertility. She is often depicted with a vulture as her companion or symbol. Also, you can find her with a peacock. The vulture is said to represent transformation, renewal, and rebirth, as it is known to transform carrion into nutrient-rich soil. Oshun's association with the vulture and peacock reflects her ability to transform and revitalize the lives of those who seek her help. The vulture also represents her role as a goddess of abundance and fertility, as it helps to spread life-giving nutrients to the earth. This symbolizes Oshun's power to nourish and sustain life. Furthermore, in ancient Egypt, the vulture was associated with the goddess Nekbet, who was depicted as a woman wearing a vulture headdress. Nekbet was the protective goddess of Upper Egypt and was often shown as a cobra goddess, Wajet, who represented Lower Egypt. Together, they were symbols of unification of Egypt. Let me repeat it one more time so that don't go over your head. The vulture was associated with the goddess Nekbet, who was depicted as a woman wearing a vulture headdress. Nekbet was the protective goddess of Upper Egypt and was often shown with the cobra goddess Wedjet, who represented Lower Egypt. Together, they were symbols of unification of Egypt. The vulture was also seen as a symbol of motherhood and protection in ancient Egyptian culture. The vulture goddess were believed to protect the pharaoh and the people of Egypt. Much like a mother protects her children, the vulture's keen eyesight and ability to soar high in the sky made it a symbol of vigilance and protection. In Mesopotamian mythology, the vulture was associated with the goddess Ishtar, the goddess of love, fertility, and war. Ishtar was often depicted with wings like a vulture, symbolizing her power and divine nature. The vulture was seen as a messenger of the gods and a symbol of divine protection in Mesopotamian culture. The vulture was also connected to the underworld in Mesopotamian mythology. It was believed to be a guardian of the dead and a guide for souls on their journey towards the afterlife. The vulture's scavenging habits were seen as a way of cleansing and purifying the dead, preparing them for the afterlife. In ancient Greece, the vulture was associated with the god Apollo, the god of light, music, and healing. Apollo was often depicted with a vulture by his side, symbolizing his connection to the sun and the sky. The vulture was seen as a symbol of prophecy and divine wisdom in Greek mythology. The vulture was also connected to the goddess Athena, the goddess of wisdom and warfare. Athena was sometimes depicted with a vulture or owl, both symbols of wisdom and foresight. The vulture's ability to soar high in the sky and see far distances made it a symbol of intelligence and clarity of vision. In Mesoamerican cultures, vultures played a significant role in the mythology and symbolism of both the Mayans and the Aztecs. In both cultures, Vultures were associated with death, decay, and transformation, and were often depicted in art and literature as a symbol of the afterlife. In Mayan culture, the vulture was associated with the god Alpash, who was the lord of death in the underworld. Alpash was often depicted as a vulture-like figure with vulture's head or wings, and was believed to be responsible for guiding the spirits of the dead to the afterlife. Vultures were also associated with the Mayan god Yum Simu, who was a god of sacrifice and bloodletting. In Mayan mythology, Yum Simu was a god associated with sacrifice and the underworld. He was often depicted with a vulture's head or wings, symbolizing his connection to the scavenging bird. Yum Simu's association with vultures reflected his role as a guide for the spirits of the dead, who were believed to be nourished by the blood of the living. Through this association, Yum Simu was seen as a facilitator of the cycles of life and death. Let's ring the bell for Yum Simu. Also, in Aztec culture, vultures were associated with the god Mictlantecuhtli, who was the lord of the underworld and the god of death. Mictlantecuhtli was often depicted as a skeleton with a vulture's head or wings, and was believed to be responsible for guiding the spirits of the dead to their final rest. Vultures were also associated with the Aztec goddess Coatlicue, who was a goddess of life, death, and rebirth. The vulture's role in consuming the dead was seen as a symbol of Coatlicue's power to transform and rejuvenate life. She was often depicted with a skirt made of snakes and a necklace of human hearts, emphasizing her connection to death and the underworld. As the mother of the gods, Coatlicue was believed to have given birth to the universe and all living things, and her association with the vulture reflected her role in nourishing and sustaining life. Thus, in both cultures, vultures were seen as a symbol of transformation and renewal, as they fed on the decaying flesh of the dead. They were associated with sacrifice and ritual bloodletting, as they were often present at human sacrifices and feasted on the victim's blood. Question: why are we talking about vultures and their symbolism in ancient cultures, and what can this body of knowledge do for us today? Answer: in many spiritual traditions, the vulture is associated with the concept of karma and the cycles of reincarnation. Its ability to consume carrion and recycle nutrients back into the ecosystem is seen as a reminder of the cycle of karma, where our actions in this life can affect our future lives. The vulture's scavenging nature serves as a metaphor for the process of spiritual growth, where we must confront and release our own carrion, our negative patterns, emotions, and thought habits, in order to break free from the cycles of suffering and rebirth. Let the God repeat that one more time. Let me ring the bell for that. We're going to repeat that one more time. Can't let this information go over your head. The vulture is associated with the concept of karma and the cycles of reincarnation. Its ability to consume carrion and recycle nutrients back into the ecosystem is seen as a reminder of the cycle of karma, where our actions in this life can affect our future lives. The vulture's scavenging nature serves as a metaphor for the process of spiritual growth, where we must confront and release our own carrion, our own negative patterns, emotions, and thought habits, in order to break free from the cycles of suffering and rebirth. I could repeat that one more time, but I won't. If you didn't get the memo, you're going to have to rewind the video. And I digress. The vulture's keen sense of smell and ability to detect decay also speaks to his role as a symbol of intuition and inner guidance. In many spiritual traditions, the vulture is seen as a guide for those seeking to tap into their own inner wisdom and trust their instincts. Its ability to sniff out decaying flesh is a reminder that our own inner knowing can guide us towards what is authentic and true, even in times of uncertainty and darkness. In addition to its association with death, transformation, and intuition, the vulture is also a symbol of independence and self-reliance. Unlike other scavenging birds that rely on groups or packs to hunt, the vulture is a solitary hunter that relies only on its own strength and cunning to survive. This independence is seen as a metaphor for the importance of trusting oneself and one's own inner guidance, rather than relying on the external sources of others or validation. The vulture's fierce gaze is also a powerful symbol of courage and determination. In many cultures, the vulture is seen as a fearless hunter that will not back down from any challenge or danger. This fearless attitude is a reminder that we too can develop courage and resilience by facing our own fears and embracing challenges head on. Let's ring the bell for that. Also, the vulture's unique appearance, with its bald head, sharp beak, and powerful wings, serves as a reminder of our own potential for transformation and transcendence. Just as the vulture's appearance changes with each season, adapt to its environment and circumstances, so too can we transform and adapt to the changing circumstances of our lives. The vulture's unique appearance also reminds us that we are not limited by our own current circumstances or appearances. We have the power to transform and evolve into something much greater. Woo! Let's go further. As navigators of the seven seas, we must take note that the vulture's role as a scavenger, while feeding on the remains of the dead, gives it a complex symbolism related to death and the afterlife. In many ancient cultures, the vulture was seen as a guide for the souls of the deceased, helping them navigate the journey to the underworld or the afterlife. The vulture's association with the sky, its ability to soar effortlessly on the currents of air, also made it a symbol of transcendence and spiritual enlightenment. In many indigenous circles, the vulture was considered a messenger between the earthly realm and the divine realm, carrying messages between the gods and mortals. Lastly, as we deep dive further into the nucleus of the vulture, we must also take note that in alchemy and Merkaba mysticism, the vulture is a symbol of rebirth, whereas the alchemists associate the vulture with the process of putrefaction, where impurities are broken down and eliminated, making way for the creation of something new and refined. This process is mirrored in the vulture's role as a scavenger, consuming carrion and excrement to create new life. Thus, the vulture is also associated with the process of calcination, where impurities are burned away, leaving behind a purified substance. This process is mirrored in the vulture's ability to consume and break down carrion, releasing nutrients back into the environment. Similarly, the vulture's feathers are said to represent the subtle body, which must be purified and transformed through spiritual practice in order to achieve spiritual awakening. Moreover, in Merkaba mysticism, the vulture is said to represent the divine vehicle or chariot of ascension, which carries the soul through the realms of the afterlife. The vulture's wings are seen as a symbol of spiritual upliftment and ascension, while its beak represents the sword of discernment that cuts through the illusions and attachments. The vulture's association with death and decay also reflects his role in facilitating spiritual transformation. In this sense, the vulture is often depicted as a symbol of the higher self or the Christ self, guiding the individual through the process of spiritual transformation and ascension. The vulture's ability to soar high in the skies and gaze down upon the earth below represents the individual's ability to transcend the ego and gain a higher perspective on life. Let's ring the bell for that. Thus, as master builders of Solomon's temple, we must accept the fact that vulture's ability to consume and transform decaying matter is a model for our own process of spiritual alchemy, where we aim to transmute base metals into gold and purify the soul. Thus, The vulture is also associated with the element of fire, which represents purification, transformation, and spiritual illumination. In alchemy, fire is used to burn away impurities and purify base metals, while in Merkabah mysticism, it represents the divine spark within each individual that guides them towards spiritual awakening. Furthermore, the vulture's unique characteristics, such as its sharp eyesight and keen sense of smell, represents the mastermind's ability to discern truth from the illusions, to navigate through the complexities of the spiritual realm. Overall, the vulture is a powerful symbol in both alchemy and Merkabah mysticism that is used to open the door and lead us on a path towards renewal and self-transformation. So as always, in Solomon's temple, I leave you in peace with these powerful words. Death is the wish of some, the relief of many, and the end of all. Let me repeat it one more time just so you can get the memo. Death is the wish of some, the relief of many, and the end of all. Ashe, ashe, ashe.